Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about borderline personality disorder and narcissistic personality disorder, and we're going to talk about how they are in relationships with each other. And by relationships, I mean it can be romantic, it could be a friendship, it could be coworkers, and sometimes the boxing gloves can come off with these people. But then there can also be a positive aspect of this relationship. So let's start there. So sometimes these two personality disorders get together because, for one, they can both connect with someone instantaneously. So, whereas most people take some time to get to know people, to understand them better, to figure out, okay, do we like similar things? Are there areas that we're going to clash? These people, it can take them seconds to figure out that they want to be together. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to last forever, but they are going to connect fairly easily on a couple of premises. So, people with borderline personality disorder, they want unconditional love. Being in a relationship can make them feel less empty and less lonely. So, they they attach to people very, very quickly because they're looking for someone to make them feel whole. Narcissists, on the other hand, are looking for a boost to self-esteem. Who can give me a constant narcissistic supply? Well, the borderline, at least at first, seems to be the perfect person to do that, to lavish on love and understanding, and you're amazing whoever you are, and I'm going to glom on to you, and we're going to be one. And so they're fueling each other. Let's look at them in terms of friendship. So I've seen these two types get together based on acting out behavior. So borderlines have to have several areas of reckless behavior, and one of those can be drinking, like excessive drinking. So I've seen these two types get together based on that, where they become drinking buddies until they just drink themselves senseless. Now, what could happen is the narcissist could decide that I don't want to drink anymore. This is ridiculous, and I'm going to step out of this behavior. And so then they no longer have that connection. But I think what can end up happening is they can have a very toxic friendship because the borderline is more, could be more of the gullible one. Narcissists tend to be mean and vicious and attacking, and that borderline might feed into that. Like, I'm just going to do whatever you want or give you whatever you want. And then the narcissist may see that the borderline is very weak in some areas and that the borderline is doing crazy things or things that they deem crazy that don't make any sense, that aren't logical, like their whole life is falling apart. Well, a lot of narcissists want to be on a pedestal. They want to be around people who are amazing and talented and, high up on the ladder and capable. Narcissists don't like weakness. And so when they start to see that when the borderline's true colors start to come out and they're falling to pieces, and they may even be testing the narcissist to see, are you going to save me? The narcissists will start to attack the borderline, and then the borderline feels like, why are you being so mean? Oh, they're so cruel and mean to me, but I'm so desperate for connection to take away the feeling of loneliness that they might stay in there with this relationship, and it just gets more and more toxic by the day because both of their intimacy skills or friendship or relational skills are deeply flawed. It impacts their the criteria that each of them have to meet. It really takes a hit to the personality. So you got two personalities fighting with each other and wanting their needs to be met. but they're getting less and less of their needs met. The borderline is not meeting the needs of the narcissist as much because they're into their own sorrow and sadness and feeling empty and not knowing who they are. Narcissists tend to have a sturdier personality. Like, I can usually tell what a narcissist Myers-Briggs type is. Whereas with borderline, it's much harder because they have identity issues. So they're waving in and out of who they are because they don't know who they are. So it's not as strong. It can make a very toxic relationship. And both of these types have issues with emotional dysregulation, which means that they're going to have difficulty regulating and controlling their emotions. So they might get out of control sometimes, where they're hard to reel back in, they're hard to rationalize with, they just snap, and it could be for the most minute reason. So can you imagine these two fighting each other? So it could either be one is cowering to the other, or they're both really fighting each other. Now, I've seen in work situations where you got these two people meeting each other and they hate each other. Now, in some circumstances, they can really love each other. It just depends. But usually, even when they love each other at first, the narcissist will start to really look down upon the borderline, and the borderline will look at the narcissist like, you are the most vicious, cruel, mean person. You break me down, you beat me down. Or it could be an abusive relationship where one won't leave the other, where the narcissist could become, if that's part of their nature, because narcissists aren't, they're not necessarily physically abusive, but it could get to that point where you have a narcissist who may have some other, might be comorbid in some ways. They're being abusive and physically abusing the borderline, and the borderline is just taking it, and everybody's looking at them like, get out of this relationship, but they are attached to each other in a very toxic way. But anyway, with the work situation, I've seen where they can absolutely hate each other because they both can be very confrontational, and they can both put on the boxing gloves and fight. Both of them can. And so they can really trigger each other. I've seen where, both narcissists and borderlines can both have memory issues. That's just something that I've always noticed. I think the borderline might have more of a chronic, can have more of a chronic memory issue problem than the borderlines do, than narcissists do, although some borderlines don't have any memory issue really, but some of them do. And so let's say that they're having a meeting and the borderline forgets that the meeting is scheduled, and the narcissist is very punctual, very straight jacket, everything's, we gotta start, and you're not there, and okay, you idiot, you dummy. And so they may attack them for that, and then that borderline will confront them back. Like, who do you think you are? You're not going to talk to me in a disrespectful way. And they may confront them on some things. So now going forward, it's like their interactions are not good. Like, the narcissist will try their best to destroy that borderline for confronting them. They will destroy their reputation to any and everybody that they can. The borderline might have to have some interactions with the narcissist. They may go in shaking like a leaf because they also know, especially a higher functioning one who is trying to control their temper. So it's like you're scaring me terribly with your mean demeanor, but at the same time, I don't want to go ballistic on you. So it's like, the borderline might learn to keep it short, keep it simple, get in, get out, and go on. But it can make for a toxic relationship. But at the same time, they are both personality disorders with extreme flaws. I think the narcissist, a high functioning one, will kind of know there's something wrong. The borderline might delve more into anxiety and depression more, but anyway, it can be a toxic relationship. So let me know in the comment section if you've seen any interactions with these two personality types and what you've observed. If you want me to do more comparative videos on personality disorders, then like this video. Be sure to share my channel with other people that you think can learn from it. And I hope you'll check out my other videos on personality disorders. Until next time, bye.